Good morning and welcome to the Rabin Report. I'm your host Elliot Rabin, so get ready to get triggered. Good morning, and welcome to the Rabin Report. I'm your host, Elliot Rabin, as you might have heard in our intro, and with me, as usual, I have my expert panel as usual, except Daniel. So, how are you, Marshall and Adam?
Pretty good.
Just gonna fix my microphone. There we go. Okay, so, you guys had a good week?
Yeah,
Pretty busy.
pretty hectic.
But I find myself saying that every week.
Yeah, but it's a good kind of hectic. Like, you're
It
not
is.
really, like, it's not like you're sort of lying around and then you get tired from doing nothing. Like, I go to sleep, tired, wake up energetic. Like, it's a full week.
Sustained an injury yesterday at the gym.
Oh,
Within
nice.
man.
10 minutes.
What were you
Record
doing?
time.
What were you doing?
Doing chin-ups.
Oh,
my back.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with our 5-minute recap of the week. We'll start with the Quebec shooting that happened at the mosque, terrorist act. What are your thoughts, guys? We got to keep this short because we want to get to our main topic, but
I mean, what else is there to say other than it was a terrible tragedy? My heart goes out to the families of those, of the victims, and I just can't believe something like that happened within our own borders.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very critical of our Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, but I have to give it to him. I think he handled the situation pretty well,
Yeah, I think so too.
and I got to give him kudos for that. I also give condolences to the families, and I don't know. I don't know if this means anything or if it's just an isolated incident, which is what I hope. But there's a lot of speculation as to what is this a result of? Is this a result of just terrorism in its individuality, or is it a result of Trump's America, or what we're moving into in history? So
I see. So we'll move on to our second story. The Trudeau government, you were just saying you were critical of him. The Trudeau government has officially decided to abandon their plan to reform the election process in Canada. What does that say to voters who voted for that specific reason? Because I have friends who legitimately only voted for that and pot, but other than that,
I mean, if you voted Trudeau and you think this is the first time that he's went back on one of his promises, you really need to look into this a lot more, because this is far from the first time. Blood ban, anyone?
yeah.
But I'm glad personally. I think I was really worried about there being an electoral reform. I really didn't want it to happen. I don't think first past the post is perfect by any means. I don't even think it's great. I don't think the alternatives are any better, and I think they're actually much worse.
Elliot, you said you had some friends that voted for him for that reason. You've actually got one friend in the studio.
Who's that?
Me.
You?
Yeah. I voted Trudeau. I was on the fence between NDP and Liberal. I voted strategically. I'm not proud of it. I will not vote strategically in the next election. I will vote based on what I believe in. I was on the fence between Mulcair's plan for giving produce to the north. He had a whole plan to give sustainable food sources to our Inuit population, which are suffering from a lack of gourmet and fresh produce. They pay $32 for a head of cabbage, $16 for a case of bottled water, just to give a few examples. And then Trudeau came out and he gave a whole speech in Parliament, and he said this will be the last election that we have it as first past the post. And I'm like, okay, I can get with this. And I voted strategically, and I voted, I justified my strategic vote based on that. and I'm incredibly disappointed, and I can solemnly swear with my scout hand to the sky that I will not be voting Liberal the next election.
Fair point.
Me neither.
What a shock.
Yeah, whoa.
So now, before we get to our main story again, Adam
Yes.
is running
Oh.
for
Mm.
arts director.
Yes, I am.
Why don't you tell us a little about that for the RSU?
I am running for the RSU elections coming up February 6th to 8th. I hope all the Ryerson students that are watching this vote for their faculty. I'm running with the Elevate slate. Elevate is pushing a lot of things, but the three major things that I will work to see, and I am with them for, I guess, is we're pushing for a greater transit subsidy and turning our One Card, which is our student ID, into a discount card for transit, which you can opt out of, as it will be a fee in tuition, of course, if you don't commute. We're pushing the removal of the official diagnosis letter from doctors to have mental health accommodations, because an official diagnosis letter can take up to 6 months to get, and that's a semester and a half of not getting what you need to succeed in school. And we all know how important our GPA points are and our mental health is. The third thing that we're pushing towards is a 24-hour study space. For all of you that know and don't know, you can always go to the pod building. But if you've ever pulled an all-nighter in the pod building, like I have, it is cold as hell. Actually, hell isn't that cold, but it's cold. And there's no proper seating. We want to get things like in the same portal that you can book SLC and library study rooms. We also want to book Kerr Hall study rooms. Have Kerr Hall classrooms that are being used, because a lot of groups and clubs take up the SLC rooms, so we can move them to Kerr Hall where the big classrooms make more sense and we can have more priority. You guys pay $80 depending on your program. Like the arts people, we pay another $60 a year for the Ryerson Art Society. You should know where that money's going. Less than 10% of campus votes. You don't want that 10% to control where your money goes, and I really hope you all vote February 6th to 8th, myryerson.ca.
Great pitch, Adam.
Thank you.
Vote for him. Marshall, if you don't, you're off the show. But
No. Marshall, your vote is not biased towards me. You vote your conscience.
I appreciate that, Adam.
Hopefully that conscious is Adam. But anyway, I can't vote because at least
You can
for
vote,
Adam.
yeah.
For Adam, but I'm voting for you in spirit.
Thank you. Spirit.
So let's get to our main story. Once again, I apologize to our viewers, but we're gonna have to talk Trump today. Recently, he's been putting out executive order after executive order, and in particular, he's now imposed a ban on 7 nations in the Middle East. It's been called unconstitutional and has spawned protests all over the globe, even here in Toronto. We wanted to discuss Kevin O'Leary's run for the Conservative leadership race, but we felt that this was an important issue we had to address since everybody's been talking about it. We're going to try to stay away from Trump after this, though, because everyone's tired.
We'll see about that.
Even us. But before we get to the questions, I want to again mention you can message us live right now on our Facebook page or our Facebook live feed with your thoughts on the ban, and we'll read your comments live on air. So join the conversation, and hopefully you enjoy the show. So let's get to the first question. What's the purpose of this ban?
That's a good question. I mean, I'd say national security. I'd say kind of a secondary purpose might be kind of preserving social cohesion and keeping ideas, undesirable ideas. And I'm not speaking from my opinion. I'm speaking from what I think is an objective stance. Keeping undesirable ideas out of the country and out of the people's minds, I suppose. That's not a very good way to word it, but national security primarily.
For me, I don't think it has anything to do with national security. I think it's more so to calm down the people who voted for Donald Trump and voted for him on the premise that he was going to do something like this. I believe that this is more so to calm down scared folks of, of the Islamic faith and of the Yeah, of the Islamic faith, and you know, the ban includes 7 countries. I believe it's Sudan, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Iraq.
Saudi Arabia is actually not on there.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
that's not
right,
on the
that's
list.
right.
That was
that's
a big
right.
controversial thing.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is not on the list. I would like to say that a lot of the extremism found in Islam is actually funded and brewed by a lot of the Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia. Afghanistan, I believe, is not on that list.
I don't believe it is.
Afghanistan is the big training ground.
Yeah,
for a
it's
lot of-
Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen.
So, you know, you watch American history, you watch 9/11, and I've seen a lot of. I'm still with conservative media just to get a good look into my opposing views, as I said that I was doing during the election. You got a lot of people that are saying this is for 9/11. Remember 9/11? What was it? 19 hijackers?
Yeah.
Something like that.
19.
13 of them were Saudi, 2 of them were Egyptian, 1 was Lebanese, and 1 was... I don't remember. But none of those countries are on that list.
Hmm.
And, you know, I don't disagree with banning anyone from any country. Yeah, you can have extremism brewed at home. Look at things like the KKK, look at things like Richard Spencer's following... Richard Spencer, that's his name?
Yeah.
Richard Spencer's following and followings of the Westboro Baptist Church. You want to talk extremism. Dylan Roof, not a Muslim. The Planned Parenthood shooter, not a Muslim. And I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll stop anything. And in fact, it'll just brew extremism and with separating families. And I just think it's to calm down.
Now, this you were speaking about Islam and where this where it's funded, where it's coming from. So this ban has been dubbed a Muslim ban, as the 7 countries on the list are Muslim majority nations.
Mm-hmm.
Is that statement true? Is this a Muslim ban?
No, I don't think that's accurate. Only, I mean, this is an argument I'm sure everybody listening has heard before. The only country on that list that is within the top 10 most Muslim countries is I want to say Iraq, which is I think the 7th most Muslim country.
Mm-hmm.
If it were a Muslim ban, I think it would have made more sense to target Bangladesh, Nigeria, Indonesia. I don't think Muslim ban is an accurate term at all. I think it's a ban from threatening nations, and threatening nations is a term that it's a vague term. And these countries, these weren't chosen by the Trump administration.
Yeah.
These were chosen by the Obama administration, which is funny. You tell people that, and a lot of the time, they don't know what to say to that because, of course, Obama's not an Islamophobe.
No, Obama is the saint.
Obama
is the savior.
Obama's the second coming of Jesus Christ, of course.
How could our lovely Obama do something like that?
And you know, I think that it's I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the travel ban, but I do think that it certainly was not implemented correctly. I don't think that those 7 countries are the right countries that need to be sanctioned against.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, sure, but I don't think we need to be worrying about a lot of them. I think if we're going to worry about a country, it's got to be Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. I think, yeah.
So in terms of justification for this ban, we have our first comment from Zagros. How can we justify this ban when there are certain countries that have caused the U.S. much greater harm than the countries listed? What do you say to that?
I would have imagined...
Thank you, Zagros, for the comment.
Thank you, Zagros. I imagine that Zagros had come in before I said that, because I do think that the wrong country's on that list. But again, the executive order, if you look at the wording, it's a 90-day temporary stop on immigration, on travel from countries that have been designated countries of concern, that were previously designated countries of concern. It doesn't list out the countries in the executive order in the text. It says no travel from countries of concern. Those are the countries of concern. I don't agree with them necessarily. I don't think that those are the countries we need to be worried about necessarily. Maybe a couple of them, but not all of them. I don't think necessarily we need to worry about Libya. Maybe though. I'm not saying we don't. I'm not saying we do. It's a very difficult subject, but I do think that It needs to be worked on, and it shouldn't have been implemented so quickly and so rashly.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
chime in? Okay, so during the election, there was all these compilations and all these things of Trump saying we have to figure out what the hell is going on. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't think he knows what the hell is going on. What you have to understand is the fact that we keep saying these are countries to worry about, countries to worry about, countries to worry about, is exactly what he wants. It's exactly what, like the good, not the good, I shouldn't say that, the Iranian doctors, the Iranian real estate agents, the Iranian administrators, politicians, citizens, teachers, whatever, and that goes, that coincides with all the other countries on the ban. The Yemeni doctors, the Yemeni teachers, the Yemeni lawyers, the Syrian lawyers, the people of Syria, the people of Iran, the people of Yemen, so on and so forth. They are good people. I don't think banning, a mother trying to visit her child is going to solve anything. I don't think separating 500,000 Americans holding green cards from their family in America is going to help anything. It doesn't necessarily hit close to home, but there's Daniel. It doesn't necessarily hit close to home, but it's hard to see the demonizing of the region that I'm from, the demonizing of the region that my friends are from, the demonizing of the region that people that I care about are from, all those demonizing factors, the countries to worry about, the people that we should be concerned about, the countries to be of concern. Since when? I get the phobia. I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it. This is the product of media. This is the product of playing it into Trump played to his strengths. He played to a group of very disenfranchised folk that said, our country is being taken away by these damn Arabs. What are we going to do about it? And he said, we're going to ban them. We're just going to ban all of them. We're going to take our country back and we're going to make it great again. That's how I heard Trump talk to me. I know he said a lot of other things, trust me. But I worry that all of a sudden when this ban ends, how hard is it going to be, if it ends, how hard is it going to be to get a visa from Iran, from Iraq, from Syria, and all that?
And Marshall, what are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, it's a tough thing for me because I do really think that national security is something that needs to be prioritized, and I think that sometimes there's unfortunate costs to national security. I just don't think that this was done well. I don't think that this is the answer. What people often gloss over is that the idea here is to suspend immigration from certain countries for now, for the next 3 months, until there's a new vetting system, until the vetting system is reformed and it can be proven to vet out the undesirables, so to speak. I like that. I don't necessarily like the idea of this all-out travel ban. I wish there was another way. I'm not saying that there's not another way. I just can't think of another way right now, and I don't know what could be another way.
But there is a vetting system.
There is.
You have to get a visa to get into America, to reach the land of the home and the free. You go through a screening process. There are NSA watch. I don't know if it's NSA sponsored, but there are watch lists. There is even a name registry that if you fit a certain name, you become suspect. And there are all these bodies in place. There's Homeland Security, FBI, CIA. There's Interpol. There's all that. If you are known to be a dangerous man, if you are known to be associated with a dangerous man or woman, if you are associated to be, if you have anything to do with anybody dangerous, the U.S. government knows about you. They invest millions and millions and millions of dollars into their defense and whatnot. The people that you've seen being banned, there's not one person so far. It's like, look, we got him. We got the next 9/11 perpetrator. We got him. And I know it's only been a few days. Trust me. Like I am waiting to see how this goes. But what I've seen is crying brothers and sisters of a family that they can't get to. It's immigrants that don't speak a word of English. They have no idea what's going on. Why am I being turned away? Why can't I see my family? 500,000 Americans cannot get back into their country. Does that make sense? 500,000 people can't go back home.
The American. So now that's another one that's contentious for me because, again, I'm not. I know a lot of these the Islamic terrorists from the States. They were American, but they were radicalized abroad, and that's where it makes sense. Not saying it fully makes sense, but that's where I see where it's going.
So we do have. First, I want to say that we have Daniel now. Daniel's here.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
I
you.
can hear you. I can hear myself.
You're just make it a bit louder on your mic then.
Which one am I?
You're one.
Ah, perfect. Hello.
Number one.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello.
Okay, perfect. So we have another comment about the ban. They asked me not to say their name. So they say his ban allows the government to know exactly who's entering the country and allows them to make sure everyone entering will have what they need rather than allowing in masses and then not have enough room, shelter, or jobs. So he's this person's obviously for the ban, and I guess kind of lines up with your views, Marshall.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, and I agree. That's exactly. I do agree with this person. I agree with the ideas behind it. I don't agree with the implementation. I don't agree with all of the caveats that come with it. I think that it needed more time. I think that there needed to be more policy formulation. I don't think it necessarily should have been an executive order. I think it would have been better off as a conventional legislation because I think it was done brashly. I don't think there was enough. It didn't spend enough time in the oven.
I want to amend my statement on saying whether or not it's a Muslim ban. I want to amend my statement.
So
I don't believe
it isn't, or it is.
I don't believe it's a Muslim ban, but I think a lot of people do. And it's the
Sorry, that was me.
yeah, and I think that it's a lot of people don't know that these Middle Eastern countries that have been banned have minorities.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that the majority of Muslims are found in places like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, Nigeria. That's what a lot of people don't know. And for example, there's actually a modestly sized Jewish population in Iran. There's about 20 to 30,000 Jews in Iran. Those Jewish folks can't come into.
Isn't that like a fraction of like it's in comparison to its
It's like
population?
less than 1%.
Yeah.
But
And there are Zoroastrians, and there are Christians, and there are there's one other I can't remember.
Baha'i.
Baha'i, thank you.
And I mean, that's exactly why I don't like this implementation because those people are the. I'm not trying to dehumanize Muslims whatsoever, but those are the people who I think need to leave the most because they're the ones being persecuted for their religion the most heavily in those places, in the countries on the ban list.
Yeah, not Iran, so to speak, but in places like Iraq, yes.
Well, I mean, in Iran, being a Zoroastrian can get you in a lot of trouble in some places.
It's probably one of the oldest
Yeah.
religions, isn't it?
It is one of the
It
oldest
was the
religions.
oldest religion. It was the religion before the '79 revolution, I believe,
Oh, okay.
when the Shah was in power. I worry that this becomes like, Trump did it. Trump banned the Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where the Muslims come from or anything like that. Like, he did it. He got rid of radical Islam. Like, hallelujah. So that's what I think people believe. I don't believe it's a Muslim ban, but not enough. You can't say it enough
Mm-hmm.
in order for people to understand it. They see
Absolutely.
like the big crescent with the star on that entire region, and then there it is. So, yeah.
Now, we've talked a little bit about how it affects people coming from those countries and how it affects Americans that have citizenship to the U.S. but can't come back in. Let's talk about how it affects Canada. According to our immigration minister, the ban does not affect Canadians with dual citizenship to the U.S. who are originally from these 7 countries. But will there still be an effect on Canada, and what kind of effect will it be?
Like in terms of refugees coming to Canada?
No. Well, we can address that too. Yes, the refugees coming to Canada, but this ban in general. So that's part of it. What other type of effect will this ban have on our
I
country?
think there's definitely going to be a stigma about that. Like, people are going to see with terms of this ban, I just am referring to those 7 particular countries in the Middle East and 1 in Africa. No, 2. Wait, Somalia, Sudan.
Somalia, Sudan, Libya. The
That's it, sorry,
countries.
3.
Oh, Libya's on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of that, people are gonna say is like, if obviously like there's lots of dialogue and conversations in terms of one person's ethnicity and their origins and stuff like that. So in terms of a conversation, like someone's gonna say like obviously the Canadian and American dual citizenship, but it says like, oh, I'm from one of those 7 countries. People are gonna unfortunately make like a particular assumption of like of not necessarily like fear, but of like concern of like, oh, like these people are from that country, like maybe there's not necessarily a problem with them, but that they're going to be just it's going to be a very controversial. They're going to be very scared about that.
It sends a bad message,
Yeah.
and this is what I've been saying all along that I don't like about Trump. Is his personality. I've always said, you know, I don't like Trump's personality. I love his policy, but not his personality whatsoever. I think because of the way Trump advertised this, because of the way he sold this, it sends a bad message. It
makes
sends
it
a bad message about the people
Yeah.
of these countries, as opposed to the ideologies of these countries, which is what I think is the only source of concern. Not the people necessarily, not that the Libyan people are the issue, but that the ideologies that are present en masse in a lot of these countries that find themselves in some of the people, that's the cause for concern. And I think if it had been a better speaker than Donald Trump, if it had been somebody with less
John
rabid, if it had been somebody with a less rabid fan base, and I don't mean stupid, I mean rabid, I mean people who are so very passionate about their president, about their president-elect, or about their Republican nominee, as far back as that. If it had been somebody else, I think that it could have been done better, could have been sold better, could have been explained better, so as not to send a bad message, a dangerous message.
Sorry, I have a question for Marshall. Like, I'm curious as to what you think about this. If President Obama had come out and done this exact same thing, how do you think the backlash would have gone?
I think that InfoWars would have made a million videos about it, but overall nobody would
like
have.
liberal media would not have covered it to the same
Like
type
you
of
would have
degree.
seen it on like the Megyn Kelly report maybe, but like, and you would have seen Alex Jones going, "They're making the frogs gay. Obama's banning the Muslims." But
For anybody who doesn't know about Alex Jones, please look him up on YouTube.
Please do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have been a big deal. I think that people would have gone, oh, you know, he's got his heart in the right place. He's trying to protect us. I think that, and this is how I think it always will be. I think the right wing will always be the evil masterminds, and the left wing will always be the
Concerned outlookers for
gentle
society.
the gentle ones,
The hippies.
the big brother looking out, or not, big brother's not the right term. Well, I don't know, but maybe it is. But
well.
the
That's a topic for another
the
class.
benevolent presence looking out for you.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I'm not saying it's the liberals' fault. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm just saying that that's how the default apolitical, or somewhat apolitical, public views it.
Now, you mentioned something you don't like about Trump, and I just want to build on that because people are going to be surprised. There's something I don't like about Trump.
No way.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Something.
No way.
So, this executive order that he signed
Uh-huh.
was on last Friday, which was Holocaust Memorial Day. Many have equated this ban with that of the one in 1940s, which didn't allow Jewish refugees into the U.S.
I've seen a lot of like videos and pictures trying to compare Trump to Hitler in comparison to
The question,
legislation like that.
so, before I get to the question, I want to say, when Trump wrote his Holocaust Memorial Day letter, he didn't mention Jews, and he didn't mention other people, like gypsies, gays, whatever. You know, and it's kind of, because I got really angry with Trudeau when he did that last year, so I'm not going to be hypocritical. So I'm calling Trump out on that, because this is a tragedy. You know what? Like, if you're talking about the Armenian genocide, you're going to mention the Armenians. If you're talking about the Holocaust, you have to mention the Jews, the 6 million Jews that died, the, you know, under or over 6 million Jews that died. You still have to mention it. So
No, for sure.
I'm
Yeah.
very pissed at that. I'm not very happy with that. But the question that I have is it fair to say that these two bands are alike?
I'd like to speak to that, and I'll be quick.
Mhm.
I know that's a complete lie, but anyway. I had the bittersweet privilege of going to Auschwitz last year.
It's something I've always wanted to go to.
It's I think every person, Jewish or Jew or non-Jew, has to go to Auschwitz.
Mhm.
That's what I believe. I think there
Isn't there
should
like
be
a typical like an eerie like an old big aura there or something
you
like that?
smell the ash.
Really?
You smell it in the barracks.
After like 60
I don't know
years,
if
60,
I was
70.
going crazy in the heat, but you smell it, and I cried, and my mom cried. My mother's Jewish.
Mhm.
Let's just put that out there. You know, the Holocaust memorial in Auschwitz. Everybody has to go to it. It's preserved beyond belief. All the original barracks are there. The original staircases, the original whatever. It's all there. In Auschwitz, they have a live stream to Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem is the main Holocaust museum in Israel, and they have a live stream to what's going on in Yad Vashem. And they have Israelis, well, Jews that have settled now in Israel, talking about their experiences in the Holocaust. And I spoke out against this in past shows that Trump is Hitler, and I will not say that ever, I swear on my life. But the frustrated tears that I saw from, I don't know if you guys saw the video of the Iranian
Guy who was waiting for his
who
brother.
was waiting for his
Yeah.
brother,
Okay.
Yeah.
or the first Syrian to be released when the ban had started.
Mhm.
The frustrated tears of like, why me? That I can compare to those of the Holocaust survivors that were speaking. There was a live stream of a woman talking about how when the SS and the Gestapo was coming through their street, they dolled up her mother to look young so they won't kill her, so they can send her to a work camp, and that way they won't be separated. And in the middle of telling her story, she broke down in tears, and she said, "We had to do this. Why did we have to do this? We are Polish people. We are whoever." And those same words rung through my ears when the Iranian said, "I've been a citizen for 30 years. I love America. I don't know why me. Why are they doing this? The relationship is already bad. Like, what's happening?" And
Yeah, I think he's comparing
Yeah.
is like the relationship between the governments doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily
like
view
what-
the
like
relationship
what-
between the people.
like what is happening to the world. And that's what, like, I did a whole essay on the Jews last semester for my politics class, and there was about 20 years that nobody wanted to talk about the Holocaust.
Mhm.
It was just like,
That's terrible.
like what did we do about this? And then everybody started to talk about it and see how the world turned to get to such a disastrous place for the Holocaust to happen in plain sight without anybody doing anything about it. And of course, you had Schindler's List and the Kinder Train. Kinder Train.
I don't know.
I've watched
I've
Schindler's
never
List, but
And you have stuff like that,
I
but
couldn't even watch
just
that
turn it
one.
into an action movie,
It's-
call it Schindler's Fist
Oh,
instead.
God.
There you go.
you have
That'd be a good story.
what I want to
Yes,
say is that the Holocaust did not start with concentration camps. It
Mhm.
started with words.
With legislation.
I
as
don't
well,
see
yeah.
Trump building concentration camps, but the sentiment, the anti-Muslim sentiment and anti-Semitism aren't too far apart. That's
For sure.
that's what I gotta say.
Definitely, man.
You guys can take.
I,
do it with-
I mean, you know what? Like, I genuinely don't have a response for that. I think I'd have to think a lot about that.
Mhm.
No, I want people to think about it.
Yeah.
I can definitely see like the concern and like why like Muslim people are very scared and stuff like that. And obviously, like we shouldn't paint everybody with with a particular type of brush like that. With a very broad brush.
And that's what they did with,
Mhm.
with Jewish people. Jews.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say.
Like I've met like a bunch of people who are Muslim and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
I don't like an example. Like I have one who's like, very cool. Like I'm cool with him and stuff, and we can talk about whatever we want, just chill.
Yeah.
But I don't view him as a Muslim. I just view him as
A friend.
a friend, and that's it. Like I could,
Yeah, that's
I
the
could
way to
care
go.
less if he eats like a particular type of meat, or he prays 5 times a day,
Yeah.
or he goes to a mosque instead of a synagogue or a church
Yeah.
or a temple of any kind. Like if you're able to use religion as a method of peace and as a way to complete yourself and maybe have some sort of happiness in yourself, who am I to judge about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's the way that you should view it. And when it comes down to Islam, I don't think that anybody should look at the people as an issue. The people are not an issue. There are ideas that are an issue, and there are ideas that manifest themselves in certain environments, especially because you look at a lot of these countries in the Middle East that are in such bad shape. And I think that when you have a country that's in such bad shape, the worst of the ideas manifest themselves. The worst of Islam manifests itself. And I think that you look at something like Indonesia, which is doing very well, and the most Muslim country in the world. There's not a single country in the world that's it's not a single country in the world that's more Muslim than Indonesia, and they do well. And the religion is not overly pervasive in their society. They have issues. They have people being beaten up by the police for having the wrong hairstyle, but it's the environment, it's the ideas, it's not the people. It's a combination of the two factors.
Building on that, we have another comment from Zagros. It's that you're right. It's the issue is not with the people. It's with the government. It's with the the radicalization. It's all that. It's not the people. So
I wish I could remember his name, but there's a great author I was reading last year who was talking about the difference between and he's a Muslim, and he's a Muslim reformist, and he's talking about the difference between the different types of. I'm not even talking the difference between like whether you're Shia Muslim or Sunni or a Sufi or. It's the difference in how you carry out your jihad, because jihad is not a violent thing. It is sometimes. It's carried out that way.
The translation for jihad
struggle.
is struggle.
And it's carried out in this author, he compartmentalized it into two types of jihad: the bad jihad and the good jihad. And unfortunately, we see a lot of bad jihad with these governments.
Was there any particular type of good jihad that they use as an example?
It's been a while. I'd have to read through it again, but
I can give one if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
The jihad for widows, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There's a jihad for widows that you have to carry on and move forward and not end your ability to birth children.
Okay.
And nobody quote me on that. I'm not familiar, but I did watch.
That sounds about right.
I do believe that there is something along those lines of a widow to carry out the jihad of having children and continuing life and not succumbing to grief and all that. I wanna just mention something that Marshall mentioned. There are certain environments that these ideas brew in, or these ideas are manifest themselves in. These ideas, these environments, are places like, post Iraq War Iraq, post Civil War Syria, post those kind of situations. Those kind of situations were created by American intervention, were created by imperialism. Things like, if you want to go back as far as Sykes-Picot, the agreement to divide up the Middle East in 1929, it's all a result of Western intervention. It's all a result of imperialism, colonialism, and all that. This is these types of Trump bans get extremists' blood boiling. This is it. This is how it starts. For example, like in Israel, the Hamas didn't exist 30 years ago. It's frustration of ongoing occupation that birthed the Hamas and the conditions that were set to Palestinians. And things like Al-Shabaab didn't exist 40 years ago. Things like Al-Qaeda didn't exist 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's always a product of the environment. And
it's a product of the environment and the situation and what's happening. And
exactly. And anybody who knows my political views well knows how anti-interventionist I am. No,
I'm not saying that you.
I know you are.
I'm not.
I'm just going off that, and how isolationist I am, foreign policy wise, and I think that's part of the reason when you regime build, when you nation build, when you force regime changes, it's bad news bears for everybody. Honestly, there's just no good that ever comes out of it. I can't think of it you can look at some examples where there was definitely good effects, but
from American intervention.
But in the end, Has it ever worked out?
Are you
No.
looking at a particular country like that? Like,
I mean, in the Balkan states.
No,
definitely not.
No.
because Kosovo and
Yeah, no.
right there, and that's just another Catholic Muslim.
And I know my
It's like,
friends,
yeah.
my friends are gonna make
Conflict.
fun of me for this, but I'm gonna say Chile, and I'm not saying that Chile was. I'm not saying it all worked out. I'm not saying that, but it did in the end. But
I don't know too much about Chile.
yeah, I don't know. I think the American/British intervention there was for the better. I'm not saying that there weren't terrible effects. I'm not disregarding those. Those were terrible. But I think it was for the better in the end. I'm sorry.
Another hot take by Marshall.
You don't have to apologize. For
I know.
your
I
mistakes.
I feel like for anybody whose parents or family was affected by the disappearances in Chile, the tortures in Chile, I feel bad for saying that, but on the grand scheme of things, it did turn out for the better.
Okay.
And so my last question, we went through these questions pretty quickly, I would say.
But we talked about a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, very interesting discussion today, very stimulating. So the last question, what can we expect once the ban is lifted, if it ever will be?
Anybody want to go first?
Well, I know the ban will be lifted after 90 days for travel, after 120 days for refugees, and I think that I don't know. I'm gonna, from an optimistic point of view, I'm gonna say that the vetting system will have changed. Whatever needs to happen to the vetting system, according to the U.S. government, that their experts will have worked their magic and will have introduced a better vetting system that will hopefully lead to a very safe country, because this is not reactionary, this is precautionary. I like to say, at least, and Trump likes to say,
And
at
would you,
least, too.
and just to build on that, we said reactionary, not
It's precautionary, not
precautionary.
reactionary.
So would you say that scares a lot of people, that it's precautionary, and they would, because a lot of people say, like, we shouldn't be doing this, how could you make this ban, you're just provocative, what's going on,
So
How would you
if you look at a
go-
lot of countries in Europe, it's not nearly as bad as the rebel will tell you. I like the rebel. I'm not trying to disparage the rebel here, but like, just if you're a fan of the rebel, if you're a fan of Daily Wire, if you're a fan of, God forbid, Infowars, just realize, like, the situation in Europe with the migrants is not nearly as bad as they make it seem, but it's bad. And I don't want to see that happening, and I understand that it's a realistic, within the realm of possibilities, fear for these ethnic enclaves to turn into no-go zones. We don't even see too many ethnic enclaves in the States, which is, for better or worse, whatever you think it is. But ethnic enclaves can very well turn into no-go zones when left unchecked, and I don't want to see that happening. I don't want to see terror attacks, mass molestations. I don't want that to happen. I don't think that this is the way to go. I'm not saying that this justifies the ban, but I am saying that a good vetting system is key to preventing those things.
Yeah.
That's where I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with making sure you have the best vetting system possible.
I'm not. There's this, I don't know how prevalent it is today, but there's this idea that the left doesn't care about security. I'm not saying that that's what you're trying to make me sound like or anything. This isn't personal. This is just to most people. America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, America. It was built by immigrants, Balkan immigrants. Well, it was actually built by slaves, but in contemporary time, it was built by immigrants, mass coming through Ellis Island, the Balkan immigrants, the Eastern European immigrants, the
Significant Italian population.
the Italian population,
French.
the French
French,
population from Canada, if you want to even go back as far as people that didn't agree with the Royal Crown and deflected from Canada to America, and this is what America's foundation is. The poem of Lady Liberty: "Give me your tired, give me your poor." This
It's
is,
right there on the statue.
Yeah,
Look at it.
it's there. I've been. I can confirm. I don't like how all of a sudden, when it is not someone that looks like you or looks like your president, they are demonized. These are still your tired. These are still your poor.
They just have a particular religious.
They have a particular religious
Belief, yeah.
belief. They have a particular skin color, particular style of dressing, particular length of beard, particular. All these things that are a particular to. Is that a word? I don't know.
Yeah. I think
A
so.
particular to the standard immigrant that we all remember of Ellis Island and such. I worry about how if and when this ban is lifted, the people that can now travel, will they come with vengeance?
Mm-hmm.
Will they come with anger? Will they come and say, "How dare you do this to me? I was coming to build a better life and you stopped me at the border." I worry that the people, the Trump supporters and the Richard Spencer fanatics and all those lovely, lovely people, I worry that when the travel ban is lifted, they will make it as uncomfortable as they can for those who still want to come. I worry that what happened in what happens in a lot of minority black, majority white communities will happen. I worry about places that have a high Latino population, a high Muslim population. I worry that it will become a xenophobic country. We are already shifting to a xenophobic country. You know, some Republicans are gasping for air, like Lindsey Graham and John McCain, to say that we disagree with this, but we're facing a losing battle in terms of accepting immigrants. Immigrants, you know,
We're never not going to stop having immigrants.
not to
into
sound
the
crude,
country.
but white people don't want to have kids.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's
White people don't want to have kids. The birth rate at some point will only be,
And why-
be generated
why
from
is
immigrants. It's expensive.
it's culture. Why
It's
is that? It's
culture.
culture. It's
It's
terrible,
culture.
terrible culture shift.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no one to speak.
Like in a
because I hate kids,
prioritization of focusing on a career and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's a terrible culture shift, and I think there's a lot to look into in that regard.
Immigrant populations, whether it be Christian, Muslim, or what have you, they have more kids than
Yeah.
white people.
Yeah.
You need children to build a country. You cannot have freaking David Rockefeller at 99 sitting in his high chair pulling the strings. You need generations to come through. And America is going to realize they've made a terrible mistake creating this sentiment, because they're going to shift to places like Canada. They're going to shift to places like Germany.
Mhm.
They're going to shift
South Africa,
South
Australia,
Africa,
New Zealand.
Australia, New Zealand, anywhere in the Royal Crown,
Yeah. In the Commonwealth.
in the Commonwealth. So I don't know why I keep saying Royal Crown.
I think that actually is. I think that makes sense. Royal Crown. I think
Royal
that's-
Crown.
It does make sense.
Yeah, but
I
it
think
is
it works.
it
I
is
think it's
known
actual, yeah.
vernacularly as the Commonwealth.
Mhm.
America will cry for immigrants come 30 years,
Mhm. No, I agree.
like they did in the Vietnam War.
I agree.
They wanted Vietnamese immigrants to come to America, and I think they've made a big mistake.
Yeah, I definitely think that like this ban is gonna be, it's gonna have like negative repercussions in terms of like, creating like, how would I properly say this? Conflicting
Rift,
issues and
okay.
conflicting problems between people who are Muslim and not, and people have this general idea that how like Muslims like Islam is a religion of war and stuff like that. Like, that's not
Yeah.
true at all. Like all of these religions, they speak on peace and stuff like that. So we definitely got to be concerned on that and focus on just building
Yeah.
just proper relations between people of different
Yeah.
characteristics.
So that was our show for this week. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and that messaged us live. Remember, on February 6th to the 8th, vote Adam Asmar for Faculty of Arts Director.
Vote Team Elevate
And just vote too.
and vote
And just vote.
Vote, please.
for the
It's so
love of
important.
God.
It's
For the
literally
love
3
of God,
clicks,
vote.
something like
RSU
that.
actually
Yeah.
has
To get
so
there?
much pull. Please just vote.
Yeah.
So a brand new episode will be coming to you next week. Same day, same time, same people. I can't promise it won't be a Trump because we don't know what he'll do. But
We'll stay optimistic.
well, for sure, the next show will be huge.
Also, quickly, there's a debate happening tonight with the RSU candidates.
Oh.
I can post a live stream on the comments of the section if you guys want to watch.
All right, thank you guys for watching, and let's end the show.